Hi everyone, my name's CJ Ruff, and for my presentation today, I'll be talking about do conflicts in the workplace cause safety concerns for patients? The thesis statement that I chose for this presentation is interpersonal conflicts in the workplace do cause safety concerns for patients. I selected this area to focus on because wherever we work, we'll come across some sort of conflict. And as healthcare professionals, it really is our duty to keep patients safe and keep patient care at a high level. As a leader, I want to be able to solve conflicts if they ever happen, and in order for employees to keep focused on their job and not the distraction of the conflict. What I hope to learn during the research and the interview, I really hope to learn that conflicts don't cause safety concerns for patients, but that wasn't really the case. So, what I did was I broke my research down into three different areas: the causes of the conflict, the answering the thesis question itself, and how to solve the conflicts when they arise. So, for my research, I chose three different articles. The first article focuses more on causes of the conflict. The second article answers the thesis question. And the third article is more how to solve the conflict. So, the first article that I chose, Kim et al., uh, is the authors. And they focus on three different areas of conflict. They focus on individual conflict, interpersonal conflict, and organizational conflict. For my research, I focus more on the interpersonal conflict area. But individual conflict would be like, getting burnt out at a job, becoming emotionally exhausted at a job, being anxious, depressed, having a diminished sense of empowerment. The interpersonal conflict area would be more along the lines of like destructive behaviors, verbal abuse, shouting, personal attacks, bullying, poor communication and teamwork skills in the workplace, differences of educations and experiences in the workplace. Organizational conflict would be like unclear roles and multiple lines of authority, not knowing who to go to if you have to report an issue, ambiguous task assignments, unclear organizational goals, unclear organizational policies, and different approaches to like patient care. So I didn't really find any weaknesses with this article because everything that I needed to write the paper was in the article. And as for the article itself, they use 99 different studies. So there is tons of, material that I could have chose from. So it was more of the article was a big strength for my paper and not necessarily a weakness. The second article that I chose, Jung et al., the author, this focuses more on, answering the thesis question. It was a 3-year study done at only one hospital system, and I'll talk about that more on the next slide. Um, 8,555 safety incidents were reported during this 3-year study. Only 147 of them were directly caused by a workplace interpersonal conflict. That's not a lot out of the 8,000 reported incidents, but as healthcare professionals, I mean, that's too many. We need to keep our patients safe. We need to keep patient care at a high level, and conflict in the workplace could, cause safety incidents, uh, including, you know, possibly death. In this study, however, they had no deaths, which is a good thing. 20% of the reported incidents of the 147 incidents, I'm sorry, 20% of the 147 incidents that were reported uh, were safety concerns and patient transfer incidents. 17 were safety concerns in laboratory testing. 16% were safety concerns in surgery. 16% were safety concerns in medical imaging, and 4% were safety concerns in like giving the patient different, you know, doses or uh, the wrong medication and stuff like that. So the strength of this article was it helped me directly answer the thesis statement. Those are just the main findings in my paper. I go over those findings in a lot more detail. The weaknesses of the study were, I mentioned in the last slide, that they only used one hospital system. I wish they would have used more hospital systems. They would have, I would have gotten a better sense of, uh, you know, how bad safety concerns could be in different hospital systems and not just this one. So the third article that I wrote about, Dirkstra, Bersma, and Evers were the authors. They focused more on solving the conflict. They recommend using a problem-solving method, which would be like being proactive to bring about high outcomes for not only yourself, but for the other people involved. So high outcomes for oneself would be like being assertive, being proactive, taking control of the situation, and figuring out the issues using the problem-solving method. How high outcomes for others in the problem-solving method would be like searching for mutually satisfactory solutions, coming to agreements with the person that you're having conflicts with, taking control of the situation, while at the same time respecting social relationships and those other people that are involved. So I really like this article because, the one area, I used it as a weak, talking about the weakness here. Uh, Only one part of the article talks about solving conflicts. The rest was about stress management and that sort of stuff. But that one area was, really good for me to uh, focus on, being able using this problem solving technique to solve conflicts. I think that would be a good, you know, thing to implement into the workplace when you have a conflict with somebody or if you're in management. So the interview I did was with my manager at the urgent care I work at, Chris Case, and these are just 3 questions that I asked him. I asked him probably about 7 in total. I asked him, what are the main causes of conflict in the workplace? His answer was difference of opinions and gossip talk. That would be an example of interpersonal conflict. Do conflicts in the workplace create safety issues for patients, in your opinion? He said, I think it can, as far as if you have a physician or staff member talk badly about a patient and they overhear it, it causes you to have to handle the situation and could cause the patient to get really upset. So he's not really talking about, giving wrong doses of medication, those types of safety conflicts. He's talking about more, a safety conflict between, the employee and the patient. How do you solve conflicts between patients? I think it's best for them to sit and talk it out with management sitting there to make sure it stays on course and that it doesn't get out of hand. In every conflict, there are always 2 sides of the story. So I think this is a good example of him using the problem-solving technique that I just went over in the last slide. Um, they take matters into their own hands. They're assertive in the problem-solving technique and making sure the conflict is resolved. So some gaps in future research. When doing the paper, I really couldn't find a ton of research on the topic. Uh, these articles were pretty much, you know, spot on for what I wanted, but there wasn't much beyond that. Um, so I'd like to do more research from different hospital systems, like I mentioned in a couple slides ago, uh, different hospital systems and different areas of the country. And that's my presentation. Thank you guys so much.